Hello, my name is Brian, Product Specialist with Aries Industries. Today we're going to be making a short video on before each use best practices for your LETS 6.0 lateral launch tractor. Before we begin, we want to make sure we're wearing the proper PPE. In this case, the minimum would be latex gloves and some eye protection. So each day before we get to work with our lateral launch tractor, we want to do a good quality visual inspection on it to make sure it's ready to go to work. We don't have any broken or missing parts or any loose hardware. First area I want you to pay close attention to is the lifting strap. We want to make sure it is not torn, ripped, or has any stitching coming loose. It needs to be able to support the weight of the tractor, so make sure your lifting strap is in good shape. Look around the rest of the tractor at all the hardware. Make sure it is not missing or loose. You can roll it on its side. Look at the bottom and the sides. Looking here at the chute to make sure we have no bent parts, any missing hardware. A couple of places on this tractor we want to pay close attention to are right here on the front right and left side of the tractor. Behind this plate are some rubber bellows that actually move a little bit as this function goes in and out. The tractor will breathe. So at the end of the day and the beginning of the day, we just want to make sure that we wash that out thoroughly and make sure there's no debris up inside there. If you do see some debris in there, we can use something, a soft blunt object such as a Q-tip or something to clean it out. But spraying our water in there at the end of the day should clean those out. If you see a puncture in those, you want to discontinue use, and those can be field replaced. Another item we want to pay close attention to on any camera or tractor is our connection point. We want to make sure it is in good shape, that the pins are all there, not bent, broken, or missing. Make sure there is no corrosion. If you do see some corrosion, you can clean it out with contact cleaner. And then we can use a small amount of dielectric grease on that connection point. Okay, so before we get to work, we need to install the push rod in the lateral launcher. For this, we're only going to need two tools: 5/8 open-end wrench and a 1/4 inch nut driver. One thing that's easy to forget when installing this is the tiger tail. So be sure to slide the tiger tail up over the cable first, so you don't have to do things twice. When installing the push rod, put it through the chute. I always like to leave about 6 inches sticking out past the end of the chute so I can get my camera on it without having to fire the thing up and turn it on just to rock that forward. So leave it sticking out a little bit and then we can get our camera on. I'm going to install these one at a time. They're all the same piece, so it doesn't matter what order they go on in. Now that we've got the last of our drive gears on, make sure when tightening these, we're only going hand tight with the provided tools. We don't want to go and get the ratchet and socket out to tighten this thing. All we need is the provided tools. Get it nice and snug. Now your cable is installed. Once we have the orange push rod installed, we want to install the provided protector plate. It will only go on one way. It will not fit backwards. When you receive your tractor, these holes are going to have 4 of these Allen head screws in them. Just remove those with the provided 3/16 inch T-handled wrench, and now we have room for the 4 screws here. Simply place over the top, using the provided T-handle wrench, snug. Do not over tighten. And the protector plate is installed. Next, we'll move into installing our camera and flex section. In this case, we're going to be using a self-leveling ST930, but you may, in your case, have the pan and tilt camera. We want to get these 2 blank pins lined up with the 2 blank holes in here. You should be able to turn it and feel it drop into place. And then you can hand tighten once we've got it in the right spot. So turn the collar on the spring until you get it as tight as you can with your hands. To tighten these two, we're going to need a 13/16 and a 5/8 inch open-ended wrench. Tighten till snug. Do not over tighten. Once we have the flex section on, we're now ready to place our camera on. I do a quick check of these spring pins on the end of these. Push them with my fingers. Make sure they push back. Make sure the connection on your camera is clean. Same with this. If you do see any corrosion, again, we can switch up and use this contact cleaner to clean that stuff off. Camera simply threads on. Hold on to the flex section and hold on to the camera. Tighten the two together, hand tight. No need to use a tool here to tighten these. Now that we have our cable installed and our camera hooked up, the next thing we want to do is hook up our main cable to the rear connector and then perform a functions test. When hooking up these connections, you may use a small, very small amount of dielectric grease to put on the connector just to protect the pins from corrosion and help lubricate them. Only hand tighten this connection. There is no need to use a tool here. Now that we've got the unit plugged in, we can come in the control room and turn the power on to the unit. I'm going to perform a functions test, and the first thing I want to do is I want to just check and make sure all of my video sources are working. We have our main video, our lateral video, and our backup camera. And those all seem to be working well. Now that we've verified all of our video sources are working, we just want to check the rest of the functions. Check the chute functions, make sure they go up and down as they should. Right, left. Our cable launch function, in and out. And our tractor function, forward and reverse. Now that we have verified that all of our functions work, you are now ready to go out and use the best lateral launch system on the market. We thank you for watching, and we hope this video will be a valuable tool for you and your team.